So you missed out on the x100V, huh? Well, fear no more. There's a tool out there to help you simulate film with your photos. Even better, it integrates into Capture One and Lightroom. Let's get into it. Like many of you and long ago, I owned myself my favorite camera, the Fujifilm X100S. The Fujifilm X100S was a fantastic piece of camera and equipment. I could just throw the camera in my bag and never miss a moment. The old school dials, the filters, the colors were just amazing. And there's a reason why people love the X100V, the improved version of the X100S or the newer one, because it also boasts a lot of film presets based on the old Fujifilm stocks. But trying to find an X100V nowadays is like chasing a unicorn. So what can we do with the boring old regular cameras? Well, there's a film simulator called Dehancer. Dehancer offers a wide range of film emulation based on classic film stocks, including, and not exclusive to, Kodak, Agfa, Ilford, Polaroid, and of course, Fujifilm. So if you give me 2 minutes together, we'll take a look at how Dehancer works later so you can see how it gives a film vibe to your images. The big benefit of Dehancer is that you won't be limited to one film stock library like Fujifilm preset. Although, I still love you, Fuji. You can now integrate more than 63 film presets in your images. And even better, you can control every aspect of the film look if you desire to modify it, or you can simply leave it as is if you like it that way. And for those who are very curious, what I suggest is that you follow along and you can download the free version of the film simulator. Like that, you can test it before you buy it. And even better, like I said before, you can try it with Capture One or Lightroom. I left a link in the comments if you want to download it for free. So after installing the software, import your images and start your regular editing workflow for exposure, healing, and white balance. And for this example, we'll pick a single image and give it a film look, but if you want to, you can give a batch options if you have many photos of the same set that you want to retouch. Let's head over to my computer. So here we are in Dehancer. So I'm going to show you 6 things that I really love about Dehancer and the tools that I use the most using this. So the first thing I usually do is, right now I'm in my original look, really clean image. And we're going to simply pick a film stock that we like. Again, here you have the entire library, which you have docs, which is Agfa, sorry, I can't pronounce today. We have Fujifilm, of course, all their Ilford, another very popular company with their black and white. Again, we have Kodaks, but the one I picked just to show you the presets is the Procudin. I just like it for this specific image. It creates those colder tones here in the skin, and I love it. So let's go with this and let's play with this. So the first thing we're going to look at is the actual film developer setting, and it allows you to make your own development settings. What we're going to do first is you just have to toggle it on to play with it, and then you can start playing around with the elements. So contrast, I just leave it as is typically, and let's say I don't like what I did, I simply have to click this reset tool and go back to where it was. If you want to, let's say you want to play with color separation and maybe color boost. I don't typically color boost, I go the opposite way. I just remove a bit of saturation so I can have little cooler skin tones here and there. One thing I also like is the gamma correction here. You can actually play around with this. There's no commitment. You simply are testing and see what is the most aesthetically pleasing to your own eye. The second item I like to play with is film compression. So film compression lets you fine-tune the redistribution of highlights. And to me, that's very important because if ever you understand like filming or actually lighting, you understand that having highlights is good, but if you want that film look or that really even, flat, like really nice, and you can direct the attention to wherever you want to, you need to control your highlights. So let's click it on again to turn it on. As you can see, the moment I pressed it, it started compressing the background, or the background because it's lighter, it's the lightest part of the image, and also this portion. Let's turn back off. On again, as you can see, it's crushing the highlights a bit, and you can actually give it more control. So if you want to have less impact of it, simply tone it down and your highlights will start popping back up. Or if you want to control the amount of what it includes or excludes, you can actually play with this toggle here. Here you're going to exclude a lot of it, and here it's going to include a lot of it. Again, here, it's because it's already compressed a little bit, we just simply have the impact is pretty high. So we can actually leave it as is, just a nice low point here. And you can also play with the tonal range. I don't like it as much. And the color density, typically I don't touch it, but feel free to test around and play with it. Expand is one of the very important settings, especially for images that have a lot of around darkness and a lot of highlights. So because this I found just a little bit too crushed, I can actually take my black point and start playing with it and actually incorporating more and more details in it. So you can see now the dress is not completely black. It has a bit more details because this was a textured dress. So I'm just going to turn it off so you can see here the way it was before, and there you go. Perfect. That looks more like something I would like. And you can do the same thing with white point, is you can again further crush the highlights, but I did like it the way it was before, so I'm not going to touch it. And I'm going to talk to you about the most important feature that I really find extremely cool in Dehancer is the film grain. So typical companies, when they sell you a film grain stock or preset, it's typically just a filter or a layer on top of an image that basically covers the entire ground of the image using some version of grain. The answer is different. It uses the similar process as you would have in film. As if you know, film, you have to have the chemicals to your image, and it basically bubbles it up and it creates that, basically adds points of grain to your image. The same thing we do with pixel, just slower. So the answer, instead of basically giving you just a layer of grain on top of your image, it takes every single pixel and reconstructs the image to give you that grain look. So it basically does the same process as actual film, but makes it in a digital way by reconstructing the image. So let's play around with it and you'll see the impact. So right now, this film stock, which is procured, has a lot of grain or the size of grain already, but we can add more to it by playing with the image. As you can see here in the highlight specifically, you can see that there's a lot more grain, a lot more details. If ever you resolution on your phone or on your tablet or on your computer is high enough. But let's make it even more exaggerated. As you can see, right now it's at 40. Let's push it to 60. And there you go, even more shadows. And the interesting thing about Dehancer is that you can reconstruct the black and the white portions of the image to give it more noise. So I want you to pay attention to this area and also around the neck, and you can see here. There you go. There's a lot more noise that was added to this section. If you want to do the same thing with the midtones, you can see it is fairly dense in terms of grain. And same thing with the highlights. So you can see, you'll see the background here will be very grainy. Almost like the YouTube channel Grainy Days, which I absolutely love. You should check him out. And the last thing about film grain, and if you want to go absolutely crazy with film grain, there's two ways to approach it. There's the analog mode, which is what we've been playing with, and there's a second mode, which is called digital, where it really is extreme. I would suggest maybe just toning down the size of it. At least it's gonna give you that same film look, but just the grains are more exaggerated. This is the complete reconstruction of the image as I spoke about. It's gonna give you that film grain, and if you want to just reduce the amount also, that's the way to process it. So analog is the classical way of doing it, and digital is the reconstruction of the image, which can give you that really deep film grain, and it's a really interesting look. To each their own. Typically play around both of them and see what I like the most, but in this case it looks like digital is the winner by just reducing the size of the grain and also the amount of them. The next section, though, is really interesting, so I really want you to pay attention. There's a lot of mistakes that has been done with it, and the answer has a cool way to approach it. And it's actually super easy to explain halation and blooming using Dehancer, then any method. So let's switch image, and we'll take a look at the way Dehancer handles halation and blooming in any image. All right, so I picked the image that you can see here from with Cat. I shot in Montreal here, and the reason why I picked this image because there's a big source of light here. This is my softbox that is just showing in the shot, and you can see here Cat is way more exposed in the background, which is a night sky. So the difference between halation and bloom is interesting. Is halation, and I'll just zoom into the important part here, is the way that film, when you used to process it, used to create an orange glow around the edges of highlights of an image. So let's turn it on and you'll see. So as you can see here, like quickly, you can see here there's a fine amount of orange that appears around the light. Let's exaggerate it just so you can see it clearly. And I'm going to turn it on and off. There, it's off. Here it's on. As you can see here, the halation is really pronounced, and that's what it creates. If I'm take a look back at the subject also, you can see that Kat is actually glowing because she's the brighter part of the image, and everything is glowing. So all the lights in the background, although they're already orange, are showing this typical orange glow. And halation and blooming are similar in what they do, but not in the way they look. So an example to show you is blooming. Instead of having this orange glow around the light, it's just going to expand the light further. So you can see even my natural green lights, then instead of being orange, now they're going to remain green and just expand. Let's exaggerate it just so you can see better. There you go. So all my highlights are blooming, they're exploding, they're just like glowing and glowing and low glowing, as if you had a jar of Vaseline on top of your lens. And then if I add in halation, you can see the difference here. Halation has this orange kind of glow. Again, this is extremely exaggerated so you can see the difference. But what's the fun thing about this is if you keep it to a regular level, and also we'll reduce the blooming, you can actually bloom the background of your images, and then you can mask the subject. So you can create 2 layers and then mask them very quickly just so that she looks natural and the background is blooming, and you can have this effect everywhere. So it's a great thing to have. And also a pro tip, if you want to have this in camera without any filters, you can absolutely do so by using an item or a tool called a Pro Mist filter. So I made a full review on a Pro Mist filter on my channel, so you simply have to click the link in the box below to review it. You can check out Dehancer in the link below, and you can also save 10% by using the promo code YB10 to save 10% off any purchases you made with Dehancer. This has been Yvens B, and I'll see you in the next video.